This is Radio Works Director of News and Information, Justine Wettschreck. Today I'm talking to Jim Hagedorn. I haven't seen him for a while, but he is running for Minnesota's 1st District, and we're very excited to have him back in the studio. Thanks for visiting us, Jim.
Well, Justine, it's a pleasure to be here.
It's kind of fun because I haven't seen you for a while, so we're playing a little bit of catch-up. But the race that you are in this year is a little bit different. So tell us about how you feel things are going right now.
Well, many people might remember that in the last election in 2016, I was the Republican candidate who came very close to defeating Congressman Tim Walz. We had 49.6% of the vote in this district. We kept working. Congressman Walz is out running for governor, so now our seat is open, and it's the best pickup opportunity in the nation for the Republican Party. So we're very excited about our opportunity, particularly since we spent most of 2017 working hard across the district. We were at your Turkey Days parade here.
Right.
We really enjoyed that. Went to the county fair, those types of things. And we went out and raised some early money, and we have great backing of Republican officials, the national, state, and local level. We're really proud of the endorsement that we received from your state senator, Bill Weber. So that's an example of how we've been working and trying to bring the party along to make sure we take back this seat for the Republicans.
Now, last time we talked, it was kind of during the last race, but there's been a lot of changes in some of the things that are happening in the world. You know, everyone's talking about gun control again. The opioid crisis has come up. So there's been quite a few different changes. What are some of the things that you are thinking are the biggest issues right now?
Well, I think you're right. There has been a big directional change in our nation, and that occurred when Donald Trump was elected president. So the policies of Barack Obama were put on the shelf, and we're going to move in I'd say a right direction. And I think a big change that's occurred in the last year is that the economy seems to be moving upward, that there's a sense of optimism out there, not just with business folks, but consumers as well. They enjoy this. Many people are looking at this tax reform that was passed as something that is spurring growth and jobs and higher wages. So that's exciting. And I think we're seeing real growth in the economy. There are issues out there from time to time that surface. The opioid crisis is a big deal. Obviously, that moves into a whole host of issues, all the way from mental health to what do we do about the drug trade and things of that nature. The gun control, the Second Amendment issues. I'm a very strong Second Amendment supporter. And I do believe that we should take steps to make sure the background checks are updated and things of that nature. But I'm one of those that doesn't believe that more laws on the books is necessarily going to solve things. That we have a lot of laws on the books now, and there unfortunately are evil people that do premeditated acts. And what we need to do is enforce the laws and make sure that law-abiding citizens have the right to keep and bear arms and to self-protection and everything else, to use firearms in a lawful fashion. So that's kind of where I am on that issue.
I know you've been doing a lot of visiting all around the state. You tend to do that quite often, especially in the 1st Congressional District. And so you are in Worthington this week to talk to some of our city leaders. What are the kinds of things that you think you're going to end up talking to them about?
Well, what we've been doing is I've been going across the 1st District, and this is a pretty big district. It's kind of the I-90 district, all the way from South Dakota to Wisconsin and then Iowa up about 80 miles. And we've been going into key communities like Worthington today, Austin last week, Stewartville the week before. And we've been trying to meet with city and county leaders to find out how the economy's doing, what types of things they may have, projects moving forward, how, if I were elected to Congress, how I could be helpful down the road to your community. Just trying to get on the ground, not in a political way, not in a campaign way, but just to meet people and to learn more about what's happening. The folks we talked to so far across the district will tell you the same thing, that in the areas of law enforcement, social welfare, other things, that illegal drug use is a big problem, and that mental illness is a big problem. And that consumes upwards of 75% of their time and resources. And so on top of that, we're reconfirming that this is an ag-based district, that agriculture is very important to communities just like Worthington, to folks here in Nobles County. And so I'm someone, for instance, that wants to be on the Agriculture Committee and do everything possible to sustain agriculture and our rural way of life. I grew up on a farm over by Truman. My dad and grandfather, great-grandfather, all southern Minnesota farmers, so I have a deep appreciation for what goes on there with agriculture.
Are you hearing much discussion about problems with daycare.
Yeah, that is a problem that comes up, or something, a challenge that needs to be addressed. Housing, daycare, things of that nature. It's important because if people, for instance, in Worthington, I'm sure you're always trying to lure in companies, lure in people that can create and have some good jobs here, high-paying jobs. They need a place to stay. Sometimes they need people to help take care of their kids. That can be a very expensive thing. So I know that the federal government, they've addressed that in some ways, looking at that. But those are major issues.
Yeah, it's one that's been talked about a lot around here lately. All right. Is there anything else that you wanted to add or talk about today?
Well, just that I think this election coming up in 2018 in November is a very critical election. We're either going to decide whether or not, there are 4 or 5 people running on the Democratic side. They're running very far to the left. And they're out there they say they want to resist the president. They want to replace and impeach President Trump and take us back to those Obama policies and then some, of open borders, single payer, late-term abortion, things of that nature. I'm on the other side. I want to be a conservative reinforcement in the U.S. House to partner with our president to keep moving our country in what I'd say is this right direction, to keep us safe, to make our economy prosperous, to protect our God-given rights, the right to life, the right to keep and bear arms, the right to religious freedom, and then do everything possible to sustain agriculture and our rural way of life. So it's a clear contrast election. I think we're on the side of the voters. I think our conservative solutions reflect the views and values of the people here in Nobles County and the Worthington area, and I'd ask for their support.
All right. Again, we've been talking to Jim Hagedorn, who's running for the 1st Congressional District. We're happy to have you here today and hope that we can visit with you again before the election.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you for your time.